Just waiting for it to go live. Hang on. This is the Nerdy Old Men Podcast, recognized by City View Magazine as best of the best in podcasts. And here are your hosts, the Old Bald Man Chad and Redneck Wes. Hey, Wes.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, if anybody's watching on YouTube, you'll notice that it's just my ugly mug here. Because Wes had some lifing to do, but he's here.
Yeah,
via
better than the laughing I had to do last week.
Via the technology that is in our favor. So, Elon Musk, we need more. No, we need one of those robots. And,
we need a robot redneck West. They can.
That's true.
Fit in.
They could just sit over there, and the expression would be about the same. So.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. It's been a couple weeks, but we're back. We're doing the best we can. So,
yeah, I had to have a little medical stuff done last week. So
he's not dead yet.
I'm not dead
yet. He's not dead yet.
So sorry about that.
Not for a lack of trying on his part, but he's not dead yet.
But it just sucks getting old because you gotta do medical stuff and checkups and whatnot. It's not fun.
Well, anyway, man, what's been going on?
Well, I'm trying to get ready for the big holiday that is Thanksgiving, which sucks in the grocery.
That's big for you, yeah.
Yeah, it is. So it's been a little crazy. So next week,
people need them Mountain Dews.
They do. It's refreshing. Chad's over sneezing. What Chad doesn't realize, folks, is
are you watching it too? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I muted at least. God, jeez.
But yeah, so it's rough because we really like to have a schedule and to be there and stuff. And when things come up, it makes it a little difficult. But we do have the technology.
Yes, we do. But tonight is D&D night for us.
It is D&D night.
Yes, it is. So we'll see what happens in Ravenloft tonight. That should be exciting.
Well, is everyone there tonight, or it seems like we're missing somebody?
No, I think we're all good tonight. So
that'll be interesting.
Meat Shield J wasn't here last time, so the vicious debauchery that will come out of Scotty Too Hottie tonight, directed at my brother, will be fantastic. So we're excited to see that.
He was prepared for it in advance.
Oh yeah. So. He was almost giving suggestions to try to make it a little less, but
it's like you could do this. And God's like, no, worse.
No, it'll be far worse. It must be. It must be worse. So,
but it is always good to get together with the boys and have a D&D night.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll finish Ravenloft here in the next 5 years.
I think Scott says we're moving along pretty good, so we'll see.
It doesn't feel like it, but
doesn't feel like it.
We do get to use our new
the new weapons.
Well, the new levels that we got.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah,
we leveled last time.
That's true. That's
so the warlock now has a level as a sorcerer. So
and still, all you'll do is Eldritch Blast.
What?
It's effective. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
It worked. I've got some more spells now, so I got a few more spell slots. So more than just the two that you get as a warlock, which is god awful. But anyways, what's going
today
on rig?
As you may see on the screen, anybody's watching. I went to the only Cinemark in the area that I know of yesterday, which is in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and purchased the 2 commemorative popcorn tubs for Gladiator 2. One is the Coliseum, as you see here. And the details, they're not great, but, I could do some weathering on it, make it look better, which I'm not.
It's better than the sandworm they had for
which is stupid. It was a little odd.
Yeah.
But anyway, on the inside of this, it's got a QR code, and I actually did this, and it's actually pretty cool. You scan it, and it goes to an augmented reality site, and it has a couple gladiators fighting in your Coliseum with the crowd.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is kind of neat. It just kind of replays this, like one kills the other one, and then they reset, and it does it again. But it's pretty neat. It has crowd noise and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. I like it. But my favorite is the Maximus helmet, which looks metal. It's a plastic, but it has a metal tin, obviously. And the metal tin has his armor engravings on the front from the original movie, and then the top pops off for the popcorn. And you can remove the mask, the helmet, but unfortunately my head's too big.
I was just going to say, did you try to wear it?
Oh, I was going to wear it in my office yesterday because I took but it wouldn't go. So when you purchase it, it was like $22, right? And they'll fill this one full of popcorn for you. And the other one, they'll put popcorn in a bucket and then set it down in the thing. But so I went ahead and took the popcorn for this one. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to watch the movie today, but I'll take the popcorn back to the office. So I sat there in my office and ate it out of the helmet all day. And again, I would have wore the helmet because it'll come off the tin, but it wouldn't fit my big head. So that's Cinemark. But anyway, I like it.
Seems like they missed an opportunity there because everybody would have been sitting in the theater with the helmet.
I think some people it fits. I got a friend that went and got one, and they say it fits them, but I'm like, dadgummit, it doesn't fit me, and that sucks. But anyway, it looked good in here because Gladiator, the original, is it is probably my favorite, air quotes, historical movie, tied with a couple other ones from different eras. Okay. So I thought we'd talk about that today, since you are actually have a history degree. So I'm sure you'll correct a lot of this stuff, but
I told you I would behave.
No, it's funny.
More or less.
It's funny. Everybody loves it when Wes gets tore up, but
except for Wes.
Except for Wes. But now we can start with Gladiator, and the original Gladiator was one of my all-time favorites. I've seen it, I don't even know how many times. I actually have a original small, I don't know what it is. It's 20 by 12 or something movie poster that has hung in my garages, the 2 homes I've lived in since that movie came out, and it's faded and everything, but it's still there, of Maximus and his original Gladiator promo poster, and I loved it. But those people that know me know I've always been a big Roman military history person, and I really liked it a lot. And the opening scene of it is really my favorite of the entire film. And we talked a little offline on how it's the whole movie's not very historically accurate, and it's not supposed to be. Marcus Aurelius was that way. He was respected in that way as an emperor, but the opening battle scene when they're fighting some Germanians, I think it is, that is military tactic wise, that was accurate for Imperial Roman forces at the time, which I thought was pretty awesome. Gladiatorial combats, I believe the actual combat, because you get the sectors and the other different types of gladiators, I think that was pretty accurate. Obviously, there wasn't, that we know of, there wasn't a general of the Felix Legions placed in the, killed his family and placed in slavery to battle in the Colosseum and kill the emperor. That didn't happen.
Yeah, well, there was an emperor that would dress up as a gladiator in
fake fights.
Well, he didn't get in the arena and fight. He just would, it's like if you were wearing your, Star Wars, Mando armor, and you're sitting
in the theater
doing the podcast. Yeah. I mean, it was along those lines. He liked to dress up as one. As far as like, a lot of times the deaths weren't to the fight or fights to the death. Something multitasking here is not my issue today. Because gladiators were highly trained and and they're like pro athletes are today.
Yep.
There was the really good ones. There was like a reverence towards them because they were, they were celebrities. And but one thing that was really neat was a lot of the armor and weapons was correct in the movie.
Except for this helmet. I don't think.
Yeah, that was very stylized. But overall, it's a really good movie. It's a Hollywood historical movie, so there's a lot of things that get cobbled together. But it's all about telling a story.
Yes. So, with a little bit of historical stuff thrown in there, it looks like.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you see these movies and it's like based on true events. And it's like, yeah, we use the guy's name and then everything else was changed. That's what happens to a lot of historical movies.
But I liked it. I liked it a lot. And if you haven't seen it, my gosh, you gotta see that movie. And I'm looking forward to seeing
that movie. Is almost 25 years old.
I know, right?
That came out in like 2000. So,
and I'm, it still has the one of the greatest monologues ever. What is it, General Maximus, and can't remember the rest of his name. Commander of the Felix Legions, loyal to the true
General of the Army of the North.
Yeah, loyal to the true Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. I was like, oh, yes. Get some. Ready to go. Let's go.
Well, there is a meme that has come from Gladiator, and it shows the wheat field. And
like the popcorn?
Guy driving. No, the wheat field there, and it says every guy, when he sees this field, and it just shows like where his hands walking through, he's touching the grain.
Yes.
Like every guy has that to walk through that field.
Absolutely. But yeah.
But it is saying something when a movie like that can reach such a wide audience.
Right.
And, almost 25 years later, people are still talking about what a great film it was, how well it was done.
Yes.
So, hats off to Ridley Scott
and it always does come with a question. Do you like Gladiator movies? Well, this one.
You don't like movies like Ben-Hur? I mean,
well, let's move on to another one. When you think historical movies, what are you thinking?
Well, one of my favorite ones, just because we actually asked a history professor about this movie, was Braveheart. Oh God, I love
Braveheart. I must have seen Braveheart, I don't know, 50 something times, maybe more. I mean, I have all the Scottish tattoos because of my extensive genealogical research. So there's a majority of my family from Scotland, and that's legit. And I freaking love that movie. So there is a lot of historical inaccuracies in that film.
That is an understatement.
So during that, let's begin. During that era, they did not wear kilts. The Battle of Stirling is the Battle of Stirling Bridge.
Yes, not
an open field battle. That didn't happen. Now the results were the same, but it did not occur in an open field, because if it had occurred in an open field, the Scots may have lost. But they used their smaller numbers to compensate with that bridge as a choke point.
Well, when you can make a choke point, you can effectively end cavalry.
Yep, which was the English. That and longbowmen were the English secret, quote unquote, secret weapons at the time.
Yeah. But it was funny. Professor Schrader was the one we asked, because we had him for medieval history, and we were all talking about Gladiator. We'd asked him, or Braveheart, and we'd asked him if he'd seen the movie, and he was like, "No." And we're like, "Oh, you've got to watch it. It's so great." And he sends us an email, and it was listing like 14 or 15 inaccuracies. And he goes, "These are just off the top of my head."
Yeah, but it's not a documentary, Professor. It's a film.
He destroyed like our perception of how accurate this film was. But at the end, the love interest that Mel Gibson has with the princess, he said the only time that I could find when they would have met was between when she was about 3 to 5 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was like,
well, you got to throw something in there,
Yeah. But some of the tactics were very accurate for what they would have done. Some of the weapons.
They would have brought in Irish conscripts.
Yes.
To assist, because the Irish weren't big fans. Still aren't. Of the Crown. So,
but it was one of those films like Gladiator. It resonated with people, and it struck a chord that even though, and most people won't know the actual history of things. Yeah, it got the message across. It really cements Wallace as a hero.
Well, he is a national hero there,
and he is. Not to the English.
No, well, no, but the difference between a terrorist and a freedom fighter is the side you're on.
So. Yeah, exactly. And also, he who wins the war writes the history.
That's true.
But it was, I think, one of the big things was the soundtrack. The music in that film was beautiful.
A gift.
I actually bought these CDs.
Yes. The Gift of a Thistle.
Yes.
That song, Flat, just
beautiful.
That gets me. Instant relaxation. It's just the thing. And like every video you ever see of like Scotland and Scotland like, tourism and stuff, they play Gift of a Thistle, and it's fantastic. But I dig it. I dig it a lot. I have thistles all over my arm, as a matter of fact. So, but yeah, that is again one of my all-time. I must have seen that. I don't know how much money I spent at the La Follette Theater watching that. I
think I lost count of you watching.
God, I loved it.
You came and told us. I don't know. After about the 5th time, I think I quit paying attention to what number you were on, because you saw it a lot.
I love that movie, man. I love that movie. So what else, man? Let's see. Saving Private Ryan. It's another one of my big favorites.
I will say this. Spielberg got the invasion scene.
Yes.
He did it so well.
The Normandy Beach one. Yeah.
Yes.
You can feel the fear and the overwhelming opposition from the Eastern Front of Nazi Germany.
Well, there were men that had fought on Normandy, and they were like, it's close. It's a little tame compared to some of the things that happened, but as far as just the chaos, and probably my favorite scene in that opening sequence is when the corpsman, the medic, gets to this one soldier who's been hit, and he's trying to patch him up. And they get fired upon, and everybody's returning fire. He's still working on this guy, and he looks down his canteen, and there's a hole in it. And you see the water pouring out. He just keeps working, and you see it turn red.
Oh yeah.
And it was just the fact that the guy got hit, and his whole thing was he was trying to save this guy's life.
Yeah.
And it was just like there were hundreds of stories like that.
Yeah, and that film.
And the fact,
go ahead.
Well, it's something very minor in the overall story of the film.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that was the thing that really kind of brought it in to being real. It was like guys were getting hit, didn't know they were getting hit.
Right.
And they were still doing their job. So,
yeah, that film really depicts the, in Chad's opinion, the awesomeness of that generation of Americans. And just the fact of, there's no hesitation. It was, we have to do this or the world is lost.
Yeah.
And and it was every single person, or at least it seemed like that, every single person on American soil were part of that effort and dedicated to that because they saw the gravity in it. And that film depicts that in these young men.
Well, the fact that the one secretary, she notices, the address and the name, and she goes back and looks and, okay, we've already done this 3 times. Right. There's a 4th one.
Oh,
and
yeah. All the brothers.
And there were things like that did happen as far as multiple brothers,
members,
yeah. And it was just like, it was something that touched everyone. And that comes through the film. It's not just this one guy. It's happened to a lot of people.
Right.
And I think that's why it really made an impact. Because when that movie came out, everyone was talking about that movie.
Oh, it's fantastic. I think it's an absolutely great movie.
But
you got some other ones, older ones like To Hell and Back, the Audie Murphy story. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I like that one a lot. That him being a Tennessee guy.
Well, you talk about.
It's a good film to be as old as it is, too.
You have to mention Alvin York.
Yep. Wait a minute. Alvin York is a Tennessee guy. Audie Murphy wasn't a Tennessee guy.
Yeah.
I got him confused. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking York on that one.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Funny, in the movie, it doesn't depict his entire family because they didn't all sign off to be in the movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So there's a lot. And I this is one of those times I really miss Dr. Birdwell. Because Mike Birdwell was a friend. He was a professor of mine. Right. We got to become friends, and he passed away a couple of years ago. But he was curator of the York papers, and he was the expert on Alvin York. They went to the forest in Aragon and actually found rifle casings that they believed were from York.
Oh, wow.
It was one of those things. The actual rifle has disappeared, and he was always like, I don't know how they lost that.
Right. Yeah.
It was one of those things. It was in the family, and it was misplaced, taken, given. No one was ever really sure because they were really wanting to do ballistics and see if they had actually found the rifle casings, but they were fairly certain they had found the ones that had been fired
through his
there.
Description and
yeah. But one of the things that was funny was his friend that he made that was from New York.
Mm-hmm.
That character that didn't happen. He didn't.
You gotta throw a little bit in there, right?
The one that the Germans kill.
Yes.
When they're that didn't happen. There were some things like that. Like I said, not all the family members agreed to be in the film. So,
well, the premise
his family actually. Well, yeah, but his family shrunk. So, but it was interesting. I had met his son Andy a number of years ago, and had been to the home site, and it's really neat when you realize he was a real man. This really did happen. It gets the Hollywood treatment.
Everything does, yeah.
Yeah, but like as far as being a really good shot, things like he would. They make a point in the movies to mention like him being a really good shot, and he did some of that stuff. Like especially like picking up ammo.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of soldiers would discard ammo because it's like heavy. We're walking everywhere, he would pick up everybody else's ammo that they were throwing at him because growing up, that was life.
It cost money too. Yeah.
So there were some things that they got right in the film, and then like I said, they have to make up some characters and some situations that didn't really happen, but it aids the story. So, but it's a really good movie. If you've not seen the Alvin York movie, check that one out.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
But
something that I wish that they were talking about historical movies that's not historical beyond anything other than name, which I'd like to see them do a actual non-graphic novel looking film, is the Battle of Thermopylae, depicted in the movie 300. But I would really like to see I think they called that like a graphic novel style.
That was a Frank Miller.
Yeah, Frank Miller thing. Yeah. But I would like to see that done in, more of a realistic, air quote, realistic type thing. Because the only other Greek thing that I had seen was Alexander, and I hated it. It was awful. Did you ever see Alexander?
Well, I didn't, because you had saw it.
I saw it. It's the only film one of the only films I've ever fallen asleep at during in the theater.
Well, I remember you were talking about there was one battle, and it was like he didn't even do that.
No, they were battle. Gosh, I don't know if it was Indian. I don't know if it was in India or what, but there were a bunch of elephants in the woods that they were fighting against, and mounted elephant battles occurred, but not in this incident. And it was just horrible. It's just not a good movie. I hated it. And I had so much, because it was during that time frame where we were getting a lot of these sword and shield type fighting historical movies. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. Alexander the Great was such a major part of, that area of the world's history. And I was like, this is going to be cool. And it sucks so bad. So I would like to see some more Greek, something Greek, because Gladiator and Gladiator 2, because I haven't seen Gladiator 2 yet, but those were Roman, depicted Roman society and Roman things a lot better. Yeah, I'd like to see some more of the Greek stuff. But anyway, that's the what other stuff have you got that you saw that you liked a whole lot historically?
I'm going to get him, folks, because he doesn't know I'm going to go here.
Oh boy.
But seeing how we both like football, and if you look in the back, you can see Chad's Notre Dame helmet hanging on the wall. Let's talk about Rudy.
He wasn't offsides, Wes. I've seen the film, the actual film. He wasn't offsides. No, there are some inaccuracies in that film. Let's be real.
I think the one that got me was now it remind me, because I may be mistaken on this, but I remember seeing an interview with Joe Montana.
Yeah, Joe doesn't like Rudy.
He was he was the quarterback.
Hang on.
You good? You good?
Yeah, I just got my Rudy helmet. So you got Rudy Rudisill on one side, the actual Rudy, and then Sean Astin, who played him in the movie, on the other side of my helmet. So big fan. Carry on with your blasphemy.
Well, I just know that Joe, he was the quarterback of that team, correct?
Yes.
And he was giving an interview, and someone asked him about the movie, and he's like, "Okay, they were not chanting his name as they carried him off the field." And I think it was one of the things that really irked Joe was in the movie.
Well, that's because they didn't do it to him. That's what it was.
The whole stadium sitting there going, Rudy, and he's like, "Yeah, that didn't happen."
Yeah, well, but the purpose of the film,
yes. But he did get the tackle.
He did get the sack against Georgia Tech. It was a runaway game. The game was not in question.
But I know things like the guys where they go in and they're
turning
like,
their jerseys.
You can have like that didn't happen.
It didn't occur either. But it's an inspirational film. It is.
As far as an inspirational film, like you can come from nothing and have that hero moment. Mm-hmm. That movie right there is probably the best.
Well, because that did happen. Really, I mean, he was a walk-on. He was undersized. Yeah. And he made it to get to play in a varsity game and made a tackle. Yeah, that's and it you know, what we consider Division I now in a university at the time. I mean, they're good again now, but was the best. I mean, that's a pretty significant accomplishment.
Yeah.
But yes, there's historical inaccuracies. Whatever.
The story has some embellishments.
Yes, all stories have embellishments.
Except for the stuff that we tell, because it all happens that way.
Yeah, our stories are true and valid and confirmed.
But
peer reviewed, actually.
I remember seeing the interview with Joe Montana, and I didn't realize the level. I've watched some other stuff, and I'm like, okay. So
Joe must really hate that guy. That's
all I can figure.
There is something extra there. I don't know if Rudy stole his girlfriend or something. I don't know. There is something extra. There is something extra there with Joe.
But that's one of those movies you hate to hear anything bad about.
Yeah.
Because I think it is that underdog story that people want it to be true.
Yeah.
Like all of it. But unfortunately, it's not.
Right.
But still a great film.
It's an outstanding film. Blasphemy from you, sir. Blasphemy. It is okay.
Well, that's like The Last of the Mohicans.
Another good movie.
That's a really good movie. And I always got tickled because the crystal photography was in North Carolina. Mm. And
there's no Mohicans in North Carolina.
Well, there's no.
Is that right?
The waterfall that they have their big climactic battle. That waterfall does not exist.
Right.
And there's been so many people. They're like, there's been stories where they're like, I want to propose to my girlfriend at this waterfall because we watched this movie and it's beautiful. And that was all Hollywood.
It's like, damn it, I can't find it.
Well, that's the thing. People are going and they're looking for it. They're like, well, this is where the Last of the Mohicans, the waterfall thing. And people are like, this is not the same.
This isn't it. What's wrong with this?
But, the books, Natty Bumppo, I remember reading, I want to say maybe sophomore, junior year in high school, reading the books, and just God, they're so just beautiful, and just the description of how things were, and it's funny when you start getting into it and seeing that some of that is romanticizing like what happened. It was brutal what they would do, and that's not depicted in the movie.
Yeah.
But just it would be nice to have that frontier adventure, but it was much more difficult.
Well, there's a lot of that goes around, and I don't want to make the episode any longer, but I mean, you don't even need to speak. It's not historical at all, but Disney, the mouse is Pocahontas. I don't even need to go down that. In reality, that sure as hell wasn't a love story. That's a fact.
It wasn't a love story. Ages are way off on that one.
Pioneer pedophilia is what that is.
And just she was basically taken back to England as an oddity.
Yep.
It was basically what happened. So the Disney version of Pocahontas.
Yeah, there's no Colors of the Wind, buddy. That's that's entirely different.
God bless that one. That's one that just from what actually happened to how it's portrayed.
Yeah.
Man.
Not so much.
Not so much.
Well, folks,
that's what I didn't think about.
I knew I had to throw that one in at the end for you, but
that's one. But there's a lot of good historical movies.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, Wes. You didn't grandstand too much, buddy. You didn't grandstand too much. I appreciate that.
I tried. I told you I'd behave. It's D&D night. I'll make up for it.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, you will. God, jeez. Hey guys, in the group, if you're listening to the show, bring a muzzle for Wes because he's on one today. But anyway, so hey, let us know what your favorite historical movie was and what you think about it, or what you think about the ones that we talked about. Share our show and listen to us and leave us some comments and stuff. So until the next time, it's the Old Bald Man Chat with Redneck Wes, the History Master.
Yeehaw.